Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Today's roundtable is really going to be a lot of reminders and updates, and then the opportunity for you to ask some questions if you have any. So we're going to dive right in. These are our topics for today, and just as a reminder, not only the recording but the slides will be up on Joint Initiative's UPK page within the next day. So all of the links that are on here, et cetera, will all be available to you. So you don't have to worry about writing them all down if you don't want to. So these are the things we're going to go over today. First thing I wanted to remind you all is that CDEC has regular office hours, and if you are interested in joining the state office hours, these are when they are and the link for them. There is additionally every Thursday at 2 o'clock, there is office hours on the provider agreement. That link is up on the UPK page, and if it's not, it will be by the end of today. That's Thursdays at 2 o'clock, in addition to the ones that you see here. So we're going to talk a little bit about direct enrollment. There's still questions about how this works. So we've started direct enrollment as of April 1. There is no more matching, and it will go through the rest of the program year. So that means through essentially May of 2026. We are also still doing direct enrollment for 24-25. So you do need to be careful if you are enrolling a child for the rest of the school year. You do need to be careful that you're in 24-25 as opposed to 25-26. So the direct enrollment process is in the provider handbook. It is very clear as to what it is you need to do there. And so just want to make sure that you take a look at that and that you are clear about how you are to directly enroll a family. IEP registration, this is the information on that. This doesn't pertain to any of you that are on this call, so we're going to go ahead and skip over that. But if there are any school district folks that are actually looking at this, this is the IEP registration process through direct enrollment. The enrollment forms are available now, and they are ready to be completed. Again, the steps are in the provider handbook, but also want to make sure that you are familiar with the fact that there is a difference between last year's enrollment form and this year's enrollment form. Last year's asked for a confirmation of participation in CCAP and Head Start. That has been removed, but there is a provider attestation that basically says that you've checked the child's date of birth, you are sure that they are eligible before you enroll them, and that to the best of your knowledge, all information in there is correct. So that's the only steps in the enrollment forms at this point. We want to talk a little bit about editing your provider profile, that you will notice a change in accessing the edit feature of your provider profile. ABC, there is an example here of ABC preschool. There is a pencil there. Next to that location, that pencil is how you begin the editing of the profile for that location. So it's a little bit different from what was being done before, but you're gonna need to know how to edit your profile, and that's how to do it. Um, you should already be well into expenditure reporting at this point. You should have done Q1 and Q2 of expenditure reporting. Q3, your one at the end of the year, should be due in the end of June. This is always through Metrics Enroll. that's how you do your expenditure reporting. And if you have any issues with any of this, you need to go directly to the Colorado UPK payments at metrics.com, metricsiq.com in order to get assistance with this. We are not able to either submit a ticket to Metrics or to assist you with this. We can certainly remind you where to go, but that is where you go for any expenditure reporting. If you have additional questions, please feel free to ask them, and we will probably send you to Metrics IQ. So these slides are all around the procedure for expenditure reporting. Again, I'm very sure you are already well into this, and probably don't need additional assistance here, but for the sake of the recording, here is the procedure, and there are also templates provided so that you can do this before you start to do your reporting. So it's all there. More procedures on how to do this and what this should look like when you get into Metrics IQ. Tells you how to save it, how to submit it, marking it as complete, and that if you do have any questions, then you can submit a request at that link, which will be available in the slides. This is a question that has been coming up more and more, so we really want to talk about how you can tell whether a family has been awarded additional hours for the coming year. Verifications were sent out. The last set of verifications were sent out on March 3rd, and now they are being sent out biweekly to families. The state is verifying the eligibility. So if a family believes that they are eligible for 30 hours but has not yet heard anything, it could be because they have not uploaded the documentation in their portal for the state to be able to review it. So at this particular point in time, it is important that if you do have a full day or an extended day program, and you have families that are enrolled in that program that believe that they are eligible for 30 hours but have not heard anything, the first question you should ask them is, did you upload your documentation in your application? Please make sure that they upload it, or remind them, please, to upload it into the application that they currently have and not to create a new application. That causes lots and lots and lots of problems. So, yeah. So there is a report that you can pull, and this is just a reminder of what eligibility looks like. If they are at 100% of the poverty level and below, then they are automatically eligible. If they are between 100% and 270%, they have to have an eligibility factor to also to be eligible for the 30 hours. So that's all in both the family handbook and the provider handbook for anybody who has any questions on that. So if you want to see which of your students qualify for supplemental hours, there is in the matched enrollment status reports, there's a column titled Supplemental Hours excuse me, Award. And this is the information on what all of those columns mean. And no matter what the order is, if in that column it says somewhere in there that they are 30 HPW, which is hours per week, if it says that in the column, then they are eligible for 30 hours. If it does not say that in the column, then they are only eligible for 15. The 10 hours is for anybody who that might apply to a 3-year-old with an IEP or something of that sort. You all should ignore the 10 hours per week, because every family who is a 4-year-old that has the right date of birth is eligible for a minimum of 15 hours. Okay, and this is how you pull up what your families are eligible for. So you're going to choose the program year from the drop-down menu. and then you're going to click the menu icon to download your report into a CSV file. You can also then save it as an Excel file should you choose to. All right. Editing seats. So, folks, you are able to increase your seats on your own. And the instructions are in the provider handbook. They're also outlined here. You may not remove seats. That is something that you have to send to us. But you can increase your own seats. So feel free to do that on your own. If you have if you need assistance, please reach out. We're happy to help you. But it's one of those things that you can do on your own. So just make sure that you pay attention to what is in the provider handbook, and it steps you through how to add your own seats. Let's talk about the ever popular provider agreement. So, um, in order to get a DocuSign with the provider agreement, you first have to fill out a Google form. And that Google form is where you are submitting whatever you are required to submit, depending upon whether or not you're a private provider or a governmental entity, which is a school district. And you still have to fill out that Google form. And they're calling it here a provider interest form. And so that is the first step. That has to be done first. And then what will happen is you will then get your authorized representative will then get a DocuSign after all of the documents have been reviewed. New DocuSigns are coming out after May 1 because there were some changes that were made in the provider agreements. And so we're going to go over those here in a second. But if your authorized person has actually already submitted everything in the Google form and got a DocuSign back, we were told that the state was going to reach out to those folks and let them know that there was a new one coming. Because there are some changes that have been made in the provider agreement. And they gave us a timeline of beginning to send out the new ones May 1. So if you have not yet received a DocuSign, even though you've completed all the Google forms, that's the reason why, is because they're making the changes in the provider agreements and getting those sent back out. Once you submit the DocuSign, then the state has to sign off on everything. They do their countersigning, and then you will get a final copy of your provider agreement. Be nice to me. Okay, here's the changes. So there was a lot of concern about the fact that the state said that providers could not charge any additional fees at all if your program was fully funded by UPK. So in other words, if you had a part day program or you had a half day program that was 15 hours, and that's what the family was enrolled in, then you were not allowed to charge any additional fees, registration or anything. It was clear that that was a bit unpopular. And so the state has come back and has chosen to back off on that for this year. So this is the red line version of what was in there. So they are saying that you can charge fees. However, they must be published in your profile. And so there was an agreement that that was going to happen over the last couple of years. We have not been terribly strict on that. And because of this situation now, we're going to start going through this summer and looking at everybody's profiles and making sure that any fees that you have are actually published. If they are not published, you are not allowed to charge them. And I believe that the state is going to be pretty adamant about that because they have agreed to this change at this point. So please make sure that any fees that you charge families, and it does not matter what it is, are published. It's if it's a supply fee, if it's a field trip fee, if it's a, registration fee, any and all of those need to be published. Um, and the last thing is still pending some clarification on this, but the provider is prohibited from placing a family on a wait list for services. We are still getting clarification on exactly what that means. And when you are in direct enrollment, you are able to handle your families in any way you would like. I believe what they're really talking about is charging a family to be on a wait list, and particularly during matching. So, but we're going to get clarification on that just so you know that. So if there is a wait list situation during matching, then potentially what you're doing is negating the equitable access piece of UPK. So I believe that that is what they're trying to avoid here. And there are providers who in the past have charged families to be on a wait list, and then they keep their numbers low until direct enrollment, and then they increase their numbers and start pulling off of their wait list. And I do believe that that's what the state is trying to avoid. But we are going to get more clarification on that. Help desk updates. So Heather and I have been having a ripping good time. We are now fully operational in the state's system, Zendesk system, whereby if someone submits a ticket as an example or submits an email as an example to upk@jointinitiatives.org, it automatically goes into Zendesk. And then the folks up at the state handle it if they can. And if they can't handle it, then they send it back to us for handling. Anything that comes to Heather's email or my email, we automatically send to into the Zendesk system. And the reason for that is because the state wants a really clear understanding of what kinds of issues are coming up and how much time we are spending on solving those issues. So the ones that come into our email and then we feed into Zendesk, they don't automatically go up to the state. We take a look at them first and solve them if we can. And if for whatever reason we choose to send them up to the state for them to take care of it, we can. But those are held for us. So you are still free if you would like to send me an email or Heather an email directly to her email address. And Heather, do you want to put that in the chat so that everybody knows what that address is? So those are the ones that we feed into Zendesk ourselves and have the opportunity to fix if we need to. Anything that goes directly to upk@jointinitiatives.org goes up to the state first, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing the matter with that because, again, they send it back to us. There is also a link here that is specific to Joint Initiatives that is a ticket request, a web ticket request that, again, automatically goes up to the state and then they send it, but it gets attributed to Joint Initiatives. So it helps with the tracking of what's going on here in El Paso County, which is really, really important to us because it does impact the funding that is available to us to be able to support providers and assist families. The 303 number that is here is actually directly into the state. The number below it is the UPK number that Heather answers. We enter the calls in specifically into Zendesk ourselves once they come in, and then alter the time that was spent on it or whatever the situation is. Eventually, eventually, the 719-630-0927 is going to be sent directly up to the state, and then again back to us as needed. We were not ready to dive in and do that yet until we saw how the rest of it worked. So um, you don't have to change anything that you have been doing unless you want to. But it would be really great if you had families who need assistance to email upk@jointinitiatives.org or to use the web ticket, because those do go directly up to the state. And in many cases, they're just a really quick fix. They also have two native Spanish speakers there who can assist families that are Spanish speaking. And by the way, we have just made an offer to a new family resource navigator who is bilingual. So we will finally have one back on staff that will assist us. But anyway, um, bear with us with this because we're trying to figure out exactly how it works and what the right thing to do is. But everything that we are doing now has to go through Zendesk, whether we send it through there or somebody else does, for the simple reason that that's how we're doing the tracking. Okay. And then just a reminder of the provider resources. The provider handbook was updated March 20th. The family handbook was updated March 20th. As usual, we have the CDEC website and the Colorado Universal Preschool newsletter. We have our UPK pages at Joint Initiatives. So I'm going to stop sharing and ask if any of you have any questions at this point.
I have a question, Noreen.
Yep.
Back to the wait list on registration fees. So, like, we're private childcare, so we do charge enrollment fees for families to join our wait list. We have situations if a family wants to join, let's say later in the summer, because they haven't moved here yet and they want to secure a spot for their 2-year-old and their 4-year-old, and they pay a deposit with us, and they're going to fill out the UPK application and list us as their school choice. Am I still able to add that 4-year-old on my wait list and give them a UPK spot for like that future date when they join our school?
So we're in direct enrollment right now. So how you manage your seats is really up to you. Uh,
Okay.
the point is, however, that a non-refundable registration fee, if for whatever reason they are not able to, let's say they're moving, right? But they don't have an address yet. They know they're moving. They know they want to be with you, or even if they have an address, but they haven't moved yet. So let's say they're military and their orders change at the last minute, right?
Right.
You have charged them a non-refundable registration fee. That's essentially a waitlist fee, and that is what I believe the state is trying to avoid. So if you want to put them on your list, that's up to you. Uh,
Okay.
and you can charge them a fee, but it has to be refundable
Okay.
if their plans change.
Right. Okay. So if we were willing to refund the fee, if we could not create that spot for them or seats got filled, then that would be okay as long as we're willing to refund that.
I believe that that would be okay.
Okay. Okay.
I think, but again, we're still waiting for clarification there.
Right.
You know, we've moved on from questions about fees in general to questions about waitlist.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, and on top of that, Sarah, you don't have a half day program, do you?
We do not.
Okay, so you're already good anyway, because what they were really trying to talk about was, well, I'm not going to say anything more about the wait list for the simple reason that
Mm,
we don't have the clarification yet.
right.
So it would be irresponsible of me to pose my thoughts on what they're actually doing because I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah. No, that was helpful. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Alma?
My question was sort of the same thing on fees, because I'm a full day wraparound and not just doing UPK only. Am I okay? Do I need to still publish my fees on the UPK site or?
All fees have to be published. That is, it does not matter what program you are offering, all fees have to be published. Any child who is participating, even for 15 hours or even 10 hours in UPK at this point, if they're partially funded, they're no longer saying you can't charge the fees. What they're saying is you cannot charge anything that is not published. So everything must be published.
Okay, so that's including like late pickup fees, all that. That's what you're talking about?
Everything.
So if my handbook, my parent handbook is put on the UPK page, then it's published because it's in my handbook. Does
Um,
that count?
There is no ability to be able to upload a parent handbook on the UPK page. So there is a particular place on the profile that we have asked you to publish fees, and it's under
Oh,
the
okay.
financial. It's under the financial section. There is a other financial options or other payment options or something. There's a text box in there that you can list all of your fees. You also have to list your tuition. So families need to know if they're eligible for 15 hours, what are they expected to pay for a full-time program? And if they're eligible for 30 hours, what are they expected to pay for a full-time program? And then all of your fees have to be listed.
Okay. But if UPK hasn't published how much they're going to pay for the student for next year, how can we totally set a price knowing what the parent's going to pay if we don't know what UPK is going to pick up?
Yeah, so what I have suggested is that everybody publish based on this year's reimbursement rates, and then it will be a pleasant surprise to families when their portion goes down because you're getting a little bit more money.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Other questions? Any pain points that any of you are having that we need to know about?
Well, we have a question about the student eligibility reports. Stacy is pulling down from her portal, her end. And so they have that child soft eligibility. Is that like what? We're just having a hard time reading that thing. So it says on some of them kids, it says 10 hours of preschool, and then in parentheses, it's 3-year-old, but then it says, comma, 15 hours per week. So the first part is that when they were 3-year-olds, and now next year they're 4-year-olds. And then some of them have a true and a false and or a date as well.
Okay. So what I would love for you to do, Anita, is I don't know what it looks like from your end.
Okay.
That's the problem with us having administrative access and not access to be able to see the reports that providers get. And so what I would love for you to do is download the report from a particular school and email it to me, okay,
Okay.
as an attachment. And then I'll go through and look at it and tell you what it means.
Okay.
Okay.
But what does the child soft eligibility mean?
I have no idea. I have to look at it. That's the first I've heard of that.
That's the title of the column.
That's it. That's the first I've heard of it. So
Okay.
yeah. It could very well mean that it has not been reviewed yet.
Okay.
Uh, but
Well, some of them have a definite hours in there.
uh-huh.
Some of them have pending review and availability of funding and seats.
Right. So those are the ones that have not been reviewed by the state yet, and they either haven't been reviewed because the parent hasn't uploaded any documentation,
Right.
Or the parent did upload documentation, but they're within that 2 week period between the last time they reviewed and sent out letters and this time.
Okay. I can take a screenshot and email it to you so you can see kind of the comments and see what it's, I mean, it doesn't matter what child it is, just, the comments themselves.
Yeah, I just
But,
need, but I do want the child too, because I want to
okay.
be able to look up their application and correlate it to what
Okay.
they have in there. So make sure I have a name or at least an application
Sure.
number.
Sure. Okay. Sounds good. I can do
Then
that.
I'll do the best I can to translate.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate
Uh-huh.
you.
Yep. Anyone else have any other questions at this point or things you want us to know about? Okay, so everything seems to be going okay. All right, just want to end this with letting you know a little bit about our outreach efforts at this point and what you should do to assist us if and assist yourself if you would like. So with this new Zendesk thing, we are part of what the state is trying to do is free us up to do more outreach. And so we are spending lots of time at various community events, etc. And Heather is coordinating the outreach piece. But with our new person coming on, the three of us are will end up sharing the duties of making sure that we are there and that we'll have a computer with us and we can answer their specific questions or show them how to enroll or whatever else is needed. So if you have something going on in your community, like Melissa up in Monument and our Tri Lakes person, if you have something going on that you think UPK should be there because there's going to be kids and families there, then send us an email and let us know. You can send it directly to Heather instead of going through UPK at Joint Initiatives, please, because that'll go up to the help desk. And let us know because we are more than happy to be there. We're going to be spending 8 hours at District Two's kindergarten registration in next week. So uh, we're going to do whatever it is we need to do to make sure that families are aware of this opportunity. So if you know of things that are going on and you think maybe we don't know about them, well, assume we don't. And excuse me, and send Heather an email and she can let you know, yes, we're already planning to be there, or hey, tell me more about that, or whatever the case may be. And as long as the Zendesk stuff continues to work in a way that frees up our time, then that's what we're going to be doing. So, um, yeah, let us know. Okay. All right. I want to thank you all for being here. Heather, you can stop the recording.